Jai Hind, Brigadier Hemant Mahajan welcomes you to a Facebook live session on Indian Navy and India's maritime and coastal security. I hope you can see me clearly. Some of the important statistics is available to you on the screen. India has a coastline of nearly 7,500 kilometers. It has two sets of island territories, the Andaman Nicobar Islands, 572 in number, Lakshadweep Islands, 27 in number. Then we have major ports which are located all along the coastline. These are nearly 13. And then there are non-major ports, 185. We have an extended exclusive economic zone of nearly 2 million square kilometers and an extended exclusive economic zone even much larger than that. To be very precise, it is actually more than our land area. Okay, so what I will do today is I will give you an overview as to how India's maritime and coastal security is taken care of by the Indian Navy. And for that, some of the basic documents that I've used is available here on the screen. I'm sure you can see it. I'm highlighting it. We have a naval doctrine called Ensuring Security of the Sea. It is a very basic document which tells you a lot about various threats that exist to our maritime security and how is the Indian Navy taking care of it. Then the older issues of these doctrines are also available on the internet. They should be studied for anybody who's interested in studying our maritime security. The Ministry of Defense prepares an annual report every year in which a very valuable data is available of various operations which the Indian Navy has done. Then there are many government bodies like the Auditor General, etc., who do a lot of checks on how the resources are utilized. They give you a lot of useful information. Then there are think tanks like the National Maritime Foundation, the Indian Maritime Foundation, which write regularly on issues related to national security. So if you look at the coastline today, the coastline of maritime is given here. The coastline of Lakshadweep Islands, 132 kilometers, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, 1,962 kilometers. And we have a set of island territories. This is very important. We have 572 islands as far as Andamans are concerned. Out of that, barely 28 are occupied. And Lakshadweep, there are 27, just about 7 or 8 is a human habitation. In addition to these islands, we have 447 islands which are off the western coast of the country. And there are 151 islands which are off the eastern coast of the country. And here some of the data is available as to how many square kilometers of exclusive economic zone is there. I'll not get into the detail, but we must understand what is EEZ. We must understand what is extended exclusive economic zone. And we also must understand various stations that we have at Antarctica and at Arctic also. This map very clearly tells you India's location into the Indian Ocean. We are a peninsular country. We have sea from 3 sides and we are located in such a beautiful geopolitical location that all the shipping routes of the world passes from here. You look at, when you talk of shipping routes, you always look at which are the choke points as far as the sea is concerned. Look at, this is the Indian map and you can see the nearest choke point is Strait of Hormuz, from where nearly 60 to 70% of the world oil goes from here, including that of China. We can block it if required, if there's an enmity with China. Then you have the Suez Canal and the choking point here. Suez Canal was in news just now when a huge container ship blocked the Suez Canal. It basically gives you a route to go to, let's say, the Europe and, of course, North America. If the Suez Canal is not available, then the route which the ships have to follow, we have to go all the way down to Africa and then go to Europe. So obviously that's a problem. And as far as the coastline of Africa is concerned, there's a problem of piracy there. So everybody wants to avoid it. The most important choke point available next to us is the Strait of Malacca. This is a very important route because 80% of the Chinese trade passes from here, and from our Andaman and Nicobar Islands, we can easily block it. And then if you go ahead, you will find here we have the South China Sea. I'll try and show it to you with the help of other maps. Now, when we look at the Indian Navy, let's look at it as to what participation it had in the Second World War. Because you would remember that the Indian Army participated in a big way in the First World War and the Second World War. We had nearly about 16 lakh troops which took part in the First World War, and another about 26 lakh took part in the Second World War. Indian Navy's participation in the world wars was limited, and it was very small as far as the World War was concerned. However, after the country got independent, we fought a large number of wars. Indian Navy did not participate in the 1947 war. It had no participation in the 1962 war, which we fought with China. As far as the 1965 war was concerned, there was hardly any action, except there was a firing on our naval base at Dwarka. However, it was the 71 war in which the Indian Army, Indian Navy participated both on the eastern coast, on the western coast. As far as the western coast was concerned, the raid by the missile boats on the Karachi harbor was a big success. It ensured that Pakistani Navy did not venture out. And on the eastern coast, blockade of the eastern coast was a good success because that ensured that the Pakistani army, which was deployed in East Pakistan, now Bangladesh, just did not have escape route via the Bay of Bengal back to Pakistan. As far as the 99 Kargil war is concerned, there was very little role that the Indian Navy played, and the Ladakh standoff also, there was very little, though of course some of the naval aircraft, maritime aircraft did fly over Ladakh carrying out reconnaissance patrol. As far as Operation Pawan was concerned, it was a very important operation which Indian Army did for nearly 2.5 years in Sri Lanka, trying to sort out the LTTE or Mr. Prabhakaran. Indian Army shed a lot of blood there. Almost 3,500 soldiers were martyred here. The Indian Navy did participate in this war in terms of carrying out transportation of Indian Army troops. But as far as the other role was concerned, there was hardly any participation. We could have easily blocked the LTTE, getting its help from outside, arms, ammunition, etc. But we failed to do it. Then as far as afterwards, a lot of coastal security operations have taken place because in the 60s and the 70s, we were the Indian coastline, there was a lot of smuggling which was going on, and a lot of law and order problems were coming up from the coastline. So operations like Operation Tasha, Operation Swan was launched, but it hardly met with the success. And finally, the Coast Guard was formed, if I remember the dates correctly, in 1974. When we look at the world, we find that nearly 70% of the world is water. And if you look at the various oceans, the whole one ocean is named after India. It is called the Indian Ocean. And from here to here, and of course, since it is round, this is called the Indo-Pacific, which is now in a lot of limelight. Recently, we have had the quadrilateral cooperation in which countries like Australia, which you can see here, then Japan, then of course India and USA. These are the 4 important countries as far as Indo-Pacific is concerned. We will talk more about it later. This is Australia. Here we have Japan, and of course China. You can see this is the Chinese coastline, and here of course is USA. Being a round map, you cannot see Indo-Pacific in that manner correctly. Okay. Now, as far as the Indian Navy is concerned, it can carry out a lot of operations like, blocking the choke points. It is responsible for protecting our offshore assets. You must understand that we have offshore assets like the Bombay High, etc., where the oil platforms are there. Our metro cities like Mumbai are located on the coastline, Mumbai, Chennai, Calcutta, etc. So the Indian Navy ensures that offshore assets are protected by the intermediate support vessels, etc. The Indian Navy is also looking after the security of the exclusive economic zone. We must understand that beyond 200 nautical miles, the surveillance operations are done by the Indian Navy with the help of its reconnaissance aircraft as well as the bigger ships which are there, etc. Then Indian Navy carries out a lot of overseas operations, especially carrying out Navy to Navy major exercises, etc. And the large number of exercises take place with the friendly countries. And the latest one was exercise Sea Vigil, in which we carried out coastal security exercises for the entire coastline together. Then we have exercise Milan, we have exercise Malabar, we have coordinated patrols in the Indian Ocean region with the littoral navies. We have the anti-piracy patrol, which carries out a lot of boarding operations, etc. So here, have a look at the as far as India is concerned. The coastline is shown to you with the red lines, and we have two set of island territories. First is, of course, we have the Andaman Nicobar Islands, 1200 nautical miles. It is actually a line of sea fortresses. We will talk more about it when we see the map in detail. We have the Lakshadweep Islands, and very recently you would remember that a ship was caught by the Coast Guard in which 3,000 crores of drugs were captured. Okay, so have a look at these kind of things. And as far as the Indian Navy is concerned, not only it's involved in the coastal security of the country, but it offers assistance in terms of training to the other maritime, other coastal security forces like the Border Security Force. You are aware that Border Security Force is involved in the coastal security near the Gulf, near our Gujarat coastline, basically the Run of Kutch area. We have the CISF, Central Industrial Security Force, which guards our major ports which are there. Then we have the State Marine Police which are there. So the Navy helps them in terms of procurement of their weapons, maintenance, exploitation of boats for coastal security, carrying out training. And the most important job, of course, what the Navy is doing with regard to coastal security is manning the National Command, Control and Communication Network, in which the static networks of Indian Navy and Coast Guard integrate various multiple sensors. We'll talk more about it when we come to the main map. And this is a map which shows you that the Indian Navy has got 16 air stations which are protecting our coastline, and it is very well located as far as dominating the Indian Ocean is concerned. Of course, dominating the Strait of Malacca is concerned. Look at the Strait of Malacca. Look at the choke points here. Look at the Gulf of Aden here. We look at the Gulf of Hormuz here. Our location, Indian peninsular location, is excellent, and we are in a good position from the point of view of geography, by which we can protect our national interest very, very well. Okay, now let us go ahead. There are fishing boats. There are disaster relief which the Indian Navy does. There is a naval-to-naval interaction which is done very, very regularly by the Indian Navy with the other navies. And then there are many other issues which Indian Navy carries out during peacetime. When we look at our coastline, we find that the coastal states of Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Kerala are located here. And we have union territories basically of Andaman Nicobar Islands. You have Goa, we have Puducherry, etc. Okay, so as far as the maritime aspects are concerned, we have to ensure that these states are also take care of our security needs. Security of our offshore assets, we'll talk later. Security, the National Command Control Communication Network, we'll talk about it with the help of a diagram. Coastal offshore security, we'll talk about it with the help of a diagram. And coordinated patrols, which we carry out, we'll talk about it later. The Navy also has what they term as a constabulary role, basically guarding of the EEZ, carrying out anti-piracy operations, etc. So we'll talk of all these with the help of a map. Navy basically divides its role into four parts: the military role, the diplomatic role, the constabulary role, and the benign role. The objectives of these roles are given here. You can read it. The missions, the objectives are given. In the objectives under the various head, what exactly it is supposed to do is given here. Then we have the missions. But just to keep it simple, I will look at it only the specific task which Navy performs. As far as the military tasks are concerned, it carries out a surveillance of our EEZ as well as the extended exclusive economic zone. It carries out patrolling of our maritime area. It carries out maritime strikes when required. It carries out information operations. It carries out electronic warfare, cyber operations, etc. when required. It carries out protection of our offshore assets. And this is called as the VBZ basically. This is basically boarding operations, getting on top of ships which are suspect and carrying out search operations there. Then we have the harbor defense, etc. Under the diplomatic, it is providing technological, technical assistance to the friendly navies, carrying out coordinated patrols, etc. As far as the constabulary role is concerned, in details, what the Navy carries out is the counter-infiltration patrols or stopping infiltration of arms, ammunition, stopping, I would say, illegal trade, then there's the anti-piracy operations, especially on the coast of the Africa, anti-trafficking operations in terms of drugs, fake Indian currency notes, anti-poaching operations. They are more relevant in the island territories, and also where the international maritime boundaries of the countries where we share our maritime boundaries, especially with regard to Pakistan and with regard to Sri Lanka is there. So these are the specific operations which are done. You can have a look at it. Medical and benign, we have the medical assistance, the diving assistance, etc., etc. Okay, so there are, which are the ongoing operations which Indian Navy is doing right now? Presently, we have Operation Tasha, which is going on, Operation Nakabandi, Operation Swan, Operation Bulun. Basically, these are the operations to ensure that no anti-national forces infiltrate from the sea onto our coastline. But purely as far as the success rate is concerned, Operation Tasha, Operation Swan, there has been very little success rate. Success rate would mean catching anti-national forces, because intelligence report warn you regularly the threat which comes from the sea. And a lot of terrorists have also come from the sea. 26/11 attack was one thing, 93 bomb blast was another thing, etc. So we need to get more success, and the success will come only if you have actionable intelligence, because carrying out mere patrolling, carrying out mere surveillance is not going to help. Actionable intelligence will lead to success. Now look at our coastline. Today our coastline is flooded with major ports, non-major ports, metro cities, etc. I'll not get into too much of detail, but guarding these are important. We have the Arabian Sea, we have the Bay of Bengal, we have the Indian Ocean, and we all know that almost 95% of our trade takes place from the sea. So sea routes are very, very important during peacetime, during no war, no peace, during, let's say, a war, etc. Now, these days, there's hardly any war which is taking place. So we have to ensure that all our lines of communication remain open, no choke points are ever choked, and all our assets are guarded properly. Okay, now intelligence is very, very important. But what is most important is we require intelligence on the drug cartels, we require intelligence on transnational crime, We require intelligence on terrorist organizations, with poachers, with pirates, and their supporters. Unfortunately, intelligence of ours is a weak point, and that has to be done properly. My personal take on this is, as far as the coastal security is concerned, the lead intelligence agency rightly is the Indian Coast Guard or Bharatiya Tatarakshak Dal. They are supposed to be coordinating intelligence, and intelligence meetings do take place once a month. But as far as the maritime security is concerned, the Navy should take a lead role and carry out regular interaction, let's say monthly, with the neighboring countries Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Maldives, and other countries of South China Sea, etc., so that Southeast Asian countries, etc., so that we can keep a tag of poaching, we can keep a tag of piracy, we can keep a tag of drugs, etc., because there are crime syndicates which carry out these operations along the sea, and anti-poaching operations are very important, because whichever is our exclusive economic zone, we must ensure that the other countries do not come there. And a large number of poaching actions have taken place. There have been reports that the Chinese boats have been coming next to our Andaman Nicobar Islands under the garb of fishing, but basically they carry out survey operations, etc. So we have to develop good actionable intelligence with the help of various assets that we have, because intelligence is your first line of defenses. Mere patrolling, mere surveillance is not going to help you. As far as our security of the country is concerned, both the land borders and the sea borders play an equally important role. When the inimical countries like China, Pakistan find that the guarding of land borders is very good, then they start using the sea route. So we have to ensure that we are updated as far as what China and Pakistan is likely to do. So as far as maritime security is concerned, our enemy actions take place from Pakistan, take place from China. Then there are crime syndicates. Then there are so-called terrorist groups which are there. There are drug lords. There are illegal trade which take place. So maritime domain doesn't only mean guarding the coastline. You have to be proactive and ensure that no such activity like poaching, no such activity let's say the other navies coming into our area and carrying out surveillance, carrying out other things take place here. Okay. Now, as far as other actions are concerned, there are reports in the media that the Bangladeshi illegal migration takes place on the eastern coast, especially in West Bengal, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh. Read the newspapers there and you'll find out as to how Odisha coastline is flooded with Bangladeshis. There's a flourishing how traffic which is there between India and the Gulf countries. We need to ensure that it is not used for wrong reasons. Unfortunately, it is not foolproof. As far as our coast is concerned, that is our biggest strength, the population staying on the coastline. However, there's a small percentage of population on the coastline which may be involved in smuggling, illegal trade, etc. So we need to carry out, develop our sources on the coastline so that we can keep a tag of our coastal security. We need to develop our sources along the maritime threats from the Andaman Nicobar Islands, etc., from the Lakshadweep Islands, etc., so that we are forewarned before any threat takes place to our sea. Now, as far as India is concerned, we are aware that the United Nations Convention on Laws of Seas grants you 200 nautical miles as your exclusive economic zone. We must guard it properly and guard the assets which are there. Smuggling is a very rampant on our coastline. So we got to have intelligence on the smugglers, on the Hawala operators, on the underworld grab, etc. We also have to ensure that our costly equipment of the Navy is guarded, the aircraft carriers, the submarines, the frigates, etc. And especially in the crowded harbors of Mumbai, Chennai, etc. Because one would remember that one of the naval vessels met with an accident in the Mumbai harbor because of a head-on collision, and there have been some reports of sabotage activity in the Mumbai harbor. The Mumbai harbor at Butcher Island, there was a fire which took place, and 300 crores of oil was burnt in one go. So we need to guard all our assets inside the sea properly. Our not only the offshore assets of Bombay High, but our pipelines of our offshore mooring islands, etc. Because if they get blocked, then our economic security gets affected. These are the Lakshadweep Islands. I mean, very recently, these are called Lakshadweep and Minicoy Islands. You would remember that around the Minicoy Islands, we caught somewhere here, we caught a ship that was ferrying arms to our coastline. It was a good intelligence-based operation. So these islands which are there, they are very useful as far as guarding our western coastline is concerned. So I'm sure we will create more assets for surveillance in these areas. As far as Andaman and Nicobar Islands are concerned, they provide you with 4 unsinkable aircraft carriers. We have we have an airport. We have a airport at Diglipur, which is North Andaman. We have an airport at Port Blair, which you are well aware. We have an airport at Car Nicobar, and we have an airport at Campbell Bay or on the Great Nicobar Islands. These 4 aircraft, 4 airports, when developed to a fighter aircraft specification, will provide us with 4 unsinkable aircraft carriers, which will give you extended ranges into the Pacifics, into the Indian Ocean, etc. So, as far as the armed forces are concerned, the assets in Andaman Nicobar Islands are being developed properly, because this is the only place where a tri-service command is already existing, and we need to increase the presence of our surveillance assets here, be it of Navy, be it of Air Force, be it of Army, so that this gives you a line of forward defenses which can guard our nation at a long distance, and we can especially choke up China as far as the Malacca states are concerned. So as far as the offshore threats are concerned, as far as the coastal threats are concerned, what we must understand is the non-traditional threats are the issue right now. Maritime terrorism, piracy, natural disasters, regional crises. While we have done a lot of improvement in in these coming years, but we need to keep on reviewing our maritime security strategy so that it is updated, and it is the present threats which are there. It takes care of that, because remember, as far as warfare is concerned, it is changing very, very fast. A hybrid warfare, or what the Chinese did in various domains, you are well aware. I've been speaking a lot about it. So hybrid warfare in the maritime domain, we have to keep a tag of it. And I'm sure our security forces, especially the Indian Navy, is looking at it. Okay. What we have to understand is that we are going to face a lot of asymmetric challenges, and they require a sophisticated strategy which pivots around domain awareness and an effective intelligence apparatus, and of course a credible armed response from our naval bases, both on the east coast, on the west coast, or also on our Andaman Nicobar Islands, and also on our Lakshadweep and Minicoy Islands. Now, before I stop, which I'll be doing in next 5 minutes, I'll not talk about the Sagarmala much, because Sagarmala is a revolution which is taking place on the coastline. All that I can talk about here is Sagarmala is going to ensure that we develop our coastlines for developing our country's economy. And here, a tremendous amount of money is being pumped in to create assets, major modern post, oil exploration, etc. So I'm sure we have to keep a tag of the progress of the Sagarmala project, so that if new threats that will develop to our assets on the coastline are taken care of. I will now very quickly tell you. I'll finish off in next about, I think, 5 minutes. I'll not talk about other things. But the threats today is poaching, smuggling, infiltration of arms, ammunition, piracy, support to left-wing extremism, Bangladeshi infiltration, drugs, fake Indian currency notes, etc., etc. So we must take care of all these threats which are there. And as far as Maharashtra is concerned, we have 720 kilometers of coastline. The Kamri, Kanoji, this institution of ours, Maritime Research Institute, is carrying out a lot of surveillance of the coastline. It is interacting with the coastal population. So therefore, we are able to put our feet on ground and know the latest trends that are taking place on the coastline. Before I wind up, very briefly, let me tell you, as far as the coastal and the maritime security is concerned, up to 12 nautical miles is guarded by our marine police. Then from 12 to 200 nautical miles, we have the Coast Guard, and beyond 200 nautical miles is the Indian Navy. And this is a very important aspect. That is, there are so many agencies involved in our maritime and coastal security. You have the Indian Navy, you have the Coast Guard, you have the police, you have the Border Security Force, you have the Central India Security Force, you have the Customs, you have the Immigration, you have the Port Trust, you have the DG Shipping, DG Lighthouses. Look at it, so many agencies, and these agencies, some come under the Ministry of Defense, some comes under the Ministry of Port, etc. Some can come under the Ministry of Home Affairs, etc. So coastal and maritime security, the challenges are far too many. Indian Navy as a senior most service should take care of all these challenges that are there. And I think it is my personal opinion that we do not have what is called as a maritime security advisor. We have a national security advisor, Mr. Ajit Doval is there, but we do not have a maritime security advisor. I have always felt that it is a maritime security advisor is required. When will it come? I'm not sure, but I'm told that when we have the integrated commands taking place, then the maritime command will actually look after the maritime security in a better manner. But till the time the maritime commands form, till the time these things happen, it should be the Navy which should take a lead of ensuring that all the agencies which operate as far as the maritime security is concerned, its coordination is done by the Navy. And also, I would say the Chief of Naval Staff should de facto operate as our maritime security advisor till the time some other appointment takes place. Okay, piracy, various assets. We have the frigates, we have the destroyers, we have the aircraft carriers, we have, let's say, offshore patrol vessels, we have many kinds of assets which are there. Okay, submarines. So we have the conventional submarines. We have the nuclear propelled submarines. So these are various things which are there. Okay. So I will before I wind up, I'll only say that threats to maritime security are changing rapidly. We need to ensure that we remain abreast with whatever is happening. And I'm sure that the Indian Navy is interacting with all the other security agencies, the intelligence agencies, the foreign ministry, the other ministries, so that any threat that comes to our maritime security and the coastal security is well taken care of. So I think I'll stop here and I'll see if there are any questions on the let's say on the chat box. I will try and take few. Let me see if there are any questions. Chat box, I find that there are not too many questions, but should you have any question, do fall back to me, and you can also like this video and try and share it with as many people as possible, because as far as maritime security is concerned, innovative maritime security is the order of the day. We need to apply all our brain power together. We need to have startups in the maritime security so that with the proper use of technology, with the proper use of human intelligence, with the proper use of all the various assets which are available for taking care of maritime security, everything is pulled together and we ensure that our country remains together. I'll stop here. If there are any questions, do write to Kamri and this thing, and we will try and take up these in our next session. So I'll stop here. I'll stop the sharing this thing now, and I'll end the presentation here. So thank you very, very much, and do send us your questions, etc. And I think I'll stop here with this thing that do like this video and share it with as many people as possible. Jai Hind.